What do you mean? The lady at the bank told me if I spent 100, I only have to pay back 25. So I figured if I spend a whole 500, I only have to pay back 100. Hey y'all, so once again, I started without you. I did the brows, primed the face. So now I just need to clip my hair away. So let's talk about finances. Girl, can I just say that nobody taught me anything about finances? And it's pretty sad. Now, I completely understand that, like, you can't teach somebody something that you don't know. So I don't fault my grandmother for, like, not teaching me about finances. Like I told y'all, we was broke, poor, homeless. You know what I'm saying? So, like, what does she know? But it was hard out here for a pimp, especially when, like, you don't know anything about money. Before I go any deeper, though, I want you to know that all of the stuff that I use mostly is from the drugstore. My primer is from Milk Makeup, but everything else pretty much is drugstore. And today I'm doing something different. I'm combining the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless with the Super Stay, 2 different shades. One is lighter, one is a little darker. It's my winter, my summer, but I feel like I still kind of got somewhat of like tan going on a little bit, so you know. And that will probably be the only thing that I tell you that I'm doing in this video, because the chit chat get ready with me's are to chit and to chat, not so much so like walk you through like what I'm doing with my makeup. If you're new here, then you don't know that, but if you are not new here, then you know the chit chat get ready with me is just kind of for us to chat, not so much so a makeup tutorial. So yeah, basically I had to teach myself everything I know because my grandmother didn't know, so she couldn't teach me. My God-given mom, she didn't teach me, like, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know that she really knew a lot about it. One thing she did tell me though was to get a credit card, but like they never taught me about credit. They never taught me about savings. I didn't know anything. My mother told me, right, go get a credit card. And this is when I was 18 or so that I got my first credit card. And I was supposed to contour first. Getting distracted. Yeah, so I got my first credit card, right? And I remember going to the bank and I was like, I asked the lady, like, so how does this work? And then she was like, well, so let's say you spend $100. If you spend $100, then you have to pay back $25. So I was like, okay. They gave me a credit card. My credit limit was for $500. And at the time, like, you know, that seemed like a whole lot of money. So I went to the mall and Sugar Pie Honey Bunch. I had a ball. I was balling out, okay? I went to the mall and I was just shopping. And I remember amidst my shopping spree, I was like, let me call my card, because this was before like banking apps were like a thing. So I had to like call in to like check my balance to see like how much I had left, because I wasn't sure, right? So I called and then it said that your balance is $434. And I was like, that can't be right, because I just bought all of this stuff. How do I still have $400 to spend? My credit limit is $500. This is like, what? I got all this money left over to spend. So I'm like, let me speak to a representative. So now I have the representative on the line. I'm like, yes, I'm just trying to figure out what my balance is, because I know I just did some shopping and it is telling me that I still have $400 and something left. And then she was like, no, that's the balance that you have to pay back. What? Bro, I'm like, what do you mean? The lady at the bank told me if I spent 100, I only have to pay back 25. So I figured if I spend a whole 500, I only have to pay back 100. What are you talking about? Girl, the horror. The horror. So there ended my shopping spree. If I was smart, I would have returned all of that crap. But what was done was done. So to like pay down that balance, I was doing a minimum payments of $25, which is like the worst thing that I could do, right? But at the time, I didn't know. And then I had moved out. Like I said, I moved out at 19. Me and my best friend, we was living together. We was living together for a year and some change, and then we decided to separate. And it was kind of abrupt. So like when we moved out and separated, and I was like living on my own, and now having to literally pay everything by myself, that was an adjustment. So I started, because by that time I think I had got another credit card. So I had 2 credit cards at the time, but I was like now having like a lot of responsibility. So I started using my credit cards more often for like the wrong things and just not using them in the right way. And so balances because at that time I did have my balances under control, but once I moved out, like once me and my best friend separated and we moved into our separate apartments, it was kind of like I kind of need to like use these credit cards, you know what I'm saying? Because it was just a lot for me in terms of adjusting, because like I said, it was abrupt. So I hadn't really planned for it, like money wise. So there I was once again having my cards basically maxed out, using them the wrong way, paying a minimum payment, which is just not good. So then came like me having to really do some research to really figure out what was going on, because at the time, like I can't even remember what my credit score was. It wasn't like good, but it wasn't like awful either. So I was like, okay, I had to like really do some research and figure out like what's the best utilization to have, because they tell you 30%, but really it's under 10%. But at that time I was subscribing to the 30% because it just was a little bit easier for me to attain. So I was like trying to make sure that I kept my credit cards at a certain like utilization. I was making way more than the minimum payment. I don't know, I'm gonna say if I spent $150, I would make a payment of at least $100. And I was just really reading and learning, watching a lot of like credit videos about like stuff about credit, Googling a lot, like just trying to learn as much as I could. And then I started using them just for like gas or like things that I would be able to get cash back on, that I like, you know what I'm saying? And then I started learning that the best utilization is under 10%. So then I subscribed to that, and it was just a little bit easier for me because I started with the 30%, like getting under 30%. And then I was like, okay, the best upon my research I found out was like keeping it below 10%. And so now really I only use my credit cards for like gas, to tell you the truth. Like I really just use my credit cards for gas. So here's something that I learned too. So let's say I have a credit card and the payment is due on the 3rd of each month, right? And I have a balance, a credit limit of $200, and I have a balance of $30 or something. And I will use the card for gas before the payment is due. So like on like the 20th or the 20th to the 25th, I'll use that card for gas. And then once it comes time for the payment to be due on the 3rd, I'll pay it off. So that way by the time it's reported to the credit bureau by the 5th, it still is like at that 9%. Or it's even lower. So like it might be $5 lower, but it's never going up because I'm using it strategically. Does that make sense? And then when it comes to like savings, girl, my savings account didn't exist. There's a man on the roof. What is he doing? What was I saying? Oh, my savings account didn't exist. Saving money just wasn't a thing that I did. I don't even know that it was like a concept that I grasped or that was talked about or anything. Like I said, like I never used to save money ever. And I think it's in part because I didn't really know anything about saving money. In part, I wasn't really managing my money all that well to like set aside savings and budget better so that savings did acquire. So I think it was a few different things. But now, when I tell you, nothing makes me happier than to make a large transfer from like into my savings account, like that is the best gift that I feel I can give myself. Like I just love to see my savings account grow, but it wasn't always this way. I remember like just certain things happening, and because I didn't have a savings account, I was like, it would kind of put me in a hole, or it would kind of throw me off, because I'm a very like organized person when it comes to like bills and things like that. Like I have a bill schedule for every single week, what would need to be paid this week, what would need to be paid that week, like, you know what I'm saying? I have everything scheduled out. That's just something that I've always done. I'm very responsible when it comes to bills and making payments on time and all of that stuff. But because I have everything planned out, when something unexpected would happen, because I didn't have a savings account, well, I had one, I just didn't have any money in it, but because I didn't have any money in my savings account, when something would happen, an emergency or something, it would throw me all the way off, because I didn't have any like savings. And it's like at a certain point you just get tired of that. Like I just kind of got tired of it. I'm like, I want to have money saved. Like I just do. I don't want to not have money saved. It just was something that I was just tired of. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna allow myself a certain amount of miscellaneous money per week or month or bi-weekly or whatever, and once I run out of that, it is what it is. Like you just don't have no more money. You know what I'm saying? I kind of had to start conditioning myself to know that like once the money goes into the savings account, it low-key doesn't exist. Like it's not yours anymore. It belongs to the savings account. If it's not in your checking account, you don't have it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I really had to kind of condition my mind to think like that. And it was once I did that I was able to get my savings account to a beautiful, hefty, not to be tacky or anything, but like, because, you know, I ain't trying to be on here like bragging, but I'm just, you know, saying like I was able to get my savings account to a beautiful, hefty, nice, thick, chunky number that is just the most money that I've ever had in my life. And I'm very proud because it took a lot of discipline for me to do that. And now that I've gotten that to where it is, I'm like, okay, now I want to work on my checking account and getting my checking account to a certain number that is kind of like, the savings account will be kind of like all the way over there, and then the checking account will be for like investment money and emergency like cushion savings in case like something happened, like maybe, you know, I don't know, with my car, I need to get a new car or whatever. And then also to a treat myself kind of situation, so like I could treat myself to something that I've always wanted. So that's what I'm working on now, getting my checking account to that. I really want it to be financially literate. I really want it to be financially responsible. I really want it to have a great credit score. Like, you know what I'm saying? I really wanted those things. So I was like, I have to do what I have to do. But yeah, I really am proud of myself. And I don't even say that to be like braggadocious, but I am, because it did take a lot of discipline. And I just want everybody to like, you know what I'm saying? Like, learn, educate yourselves about credit or savings or whatever it is, because the reality of the situation is like you can't really do much of anything without credit. You need good credit to be able to like really do anything. So it's very important. And maybe you grew up where like your mother or your father put you on a credit card as an authorized user at 16. So you been knew about credit. You already know what's good. There is no issue on your end. You know, shouts out to you. That's lit. But if you didn't necessarily have the resources or the knowledge growing up or whatever, it wasn't accessible to you, then I highly encourage you to just educate yourself. Google is here now. It is our friend. And yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm trying to break generational curses. Like, what you heard what Tasha Cobb said? I hear the chains falling. And that makes me excited, okay? Thank you, Jesus. Oh my goodness. I was listening to a sermon and Bishop T.D. Jakes, I can't remember what it was titled, but the thing that stood out to me was he said, I am not going to repeat in my future what I survived in my past. And that's like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like on a spiritual level, okay? I'm really supposed to set before the lashes, but you know. Okay, so that's it. Makeup is done. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and chitting and chatting, okay, about finances today. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of the video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye.